Welcome to Case Chronicles by Case Radar, a podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of court cases and judgments. I'm David Dio, your host, and together we'll explore the stories behind some of the most significant legal discussions, unraveling the complexities of the law one case at a time. Whether you're a legal professional, a law student, or just someone with a keen interest in justice, Case Chronicles by Case Radar is here to provide you with insightful analysis and compelling narratives straight from the courtroom. So, sit back, relax, and join us as we journey through the intricacies of the legal system, shedding light on the rulings that shape our society. Let's get started.
Welcome back, Case Radar community. You're tuned into Case Chronicles, where we dive into some of the most intriguing legal battles in Nigeria. I'm your host, David Dio, and we've got a case that touches on employment law, public service regulations, and surprisingly, an issue of age. So today's case is Amina T. Garba versus Lapai Local Government Council and others. Case number NICN/MN/06/2022. The MENA Judicial Division of the Industrial Court of Nigeria by Honorable Justice O.Y. Anue. The judgment was delivered on the 26th of February 2023, and it centers around a critical legal question. Can a person employed in violation of statutory requirements continue to claim benefits from that same employment? So, this leads us to our story. It's 1992, and 17-year-old Amina T. Garba is starting a new chapter in her life. She's just been employed by the Lapai Local Government Council in Niger State. And little did she know that her employment will come back to haunt her decades later. Amina was hired by the local government on January 10, 1992, when she was still underage, just 17 years old. And for the next 30 years, she served dutifully in her role, receiving several promotions along the way. That is, until a screening exercise in June 21 led by the Local Government Service Commission uncovered an issue. Amina's employment may have been unlawful from the very start because she was below the statutory minimum age for public service employment. Fast forward to July 2021, Amina's salary is suddenly stopped without any formal notice. And for 10 months, she's left in the dark with no pay and no explanation other than whispers of an underage employment violation. Frustrated, Amina filed a lawsuit against the Lapai Local Government Council, its chairman, and the Niger State Local Government Service Commission. She demanded that the courts declare the withholding of her salary illegal and the defendants pay her 629,314 naira and 3 kobo in outstanding wages. She also sought 1 million naira in aggravated damages, 500,000 naira in general damages, and 500,000 naira in litigation costs. But the question before the court was not just about her salary. It was about the very legality of her employment. Representing Amina was the fierce legal team led by H.A. Salawu with Y.O. Anafi, while the defendants were represented by Musa Hussaini and Yusuf Hussaini. This wasn't going to be an easy fight, and both sides came ready with their arguments. Amina's legal team argued that she had served for 30 years with no issue, and the abrupt stoppage of her salary was unfair and illegal. She had undergone the screening exercise, and yet she wasn't given any formal notice of suspension or termination. In her mind, she was still an active employee entitled to her wages. But the defendants were not budging. They argued that Amina's employment was irregular and unlawful from the very beginning. And then under the Niger State Civil Service rules, the mandatory age for appointment into public service is 18 years of age. Amina had been 17 when she was hired, meaning that her employment violated those rules. And in their view, her appointment had been invalid ab initio. And once this came to light during the 2021 screening, her salary was stopped pending a final decision by the Local Government Service Commission. The defense also noted that the screening exercise had revealed several ghost workers and other irregularities within the local government, and they insisted that Amina's case was not unique, and her salary stoppage was in line with the findings from the verification process. Now, this is where the plot thickens. The central issue became whether Amina's employment, which was found to be in violation of the civil service rules, could still entitle her to claim unpaid wages and damages. During cross-examination, Amina admitted that she had been aware of the civil service rules regarding age requirements. She knew that the rules mandated a minimum age of 18 for employment, yet she has still been hired at 17. Despite this, she argued that her 30 years of service should not be wiped away because of a technicality. The court faced a tough decision. Was Amina's claim for unpaid wages valid, despite the irregularity of her appointment? Could she still enforce rights arising from a contract that had been entered into in violation of the law? Justice Anue leaned heavily on precedent. He cited the Supreme Court's ruling in Ada versus Ubandawaki, which established that declaratory reliefs cannot be granted solely based on the defendant's weaknesses. The burden was on Amina to prove that the stoppage of her salary was illegal. And so, after carefully considering the evidence, the court handed down its decision. Justice Anuwe ruled against Amina, and the court found that her employment had indeed been irregular from the start, as it violated the Niger State Civil Service rules. By being underage at the time of her appointment, she was never qualified for the job in the first place, and as a result, her entire employment was deemed invalid. Because of this, Amina could not claim any rights or claim any benefits from the employment, including the unpaid salary. The judge noted that contracts entered into in violation of statutory provisions cannot be enforced by the court. He cited Okusa versus Gomo, which underscored that any contract that contravenes statutory requirements is void and unenforceable. Moreover, since the Local Government Service Commission had not yet made a final decision, Amina's case was deemed premature. She had brought the suit before the administrative process was completed. So, in the end, Amina's claims for unpaid salaries and damages were dismissed, and the court ruled in favor of the defendants. So, what can we learn from this case? It's a reminder that public sector employment is governed by some certain strict rules and regulations. Even if you as an employee has served for a lot of years, an appointment made in violation of statutory requirements can be invalidated no matter how much time has passed. It also highlights the importance of following due process. Amina's case was brought to court before the Local Government Service Commission had finished reviewing her status. This premature action only weakened her case, as the court wasn't willing to intervene in an ongoing administrative process. And finally, the judgment reinforces the principle that the court cannot enforce contracts that violate the law. Even where there may be sympathies for the employee, the law remains the law, and any violation renders the contract void from the start. And guys, that wraps up today's episode of Case Chronicles by Case Radar. Today's case was a bit complex, and it showed us that the law doesn't just deal with fairness. It deals with facts and statutory requirements. Even the smallest details, like age at employment, can have a lasting consequence. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Case Chronicles by Case Radar. We hope you found this deep dive into the legal intricacies both informative and engaging. Until next time, this is your host signing off.